I started producing a long time ago, it seems, but I started making wildlife films and conservation films. And I thought it was a wonderful way to spend my 20s, but I realized I was somewhat preaching to the converted. You know, people who like elephants, they watch your movies, but they're not the people who don't like elephants and want to save elephants, they don't watch your movie. And I always liked doing drama, and I used to do plays. And so I thought, well, I'll go to film school in my late 20s. I was lucky to go to a good film school in the UK called the National Film and Television School, and I specialized in producing. I'd already been a producer of documentaries and television wildlife shows. And the school really helped me to think about drama and producing drama. And then, of course, you know, the best thing, of course, is to actually start making movies. And then you realize there's a whole other level to producing movies. You know, ideas for movies come from all sorts of places. One can be from a book or a newspaper article, and of course you can think of a story yourself or be told a story. And in both cases you're adapting something for the screen. I think when you have a book, of course you have a little bit of a roadmap in which to, you know, hang your hat on and the skeleton of your story. And so in some ways that can be easier. But of course you also have to be somewhat faithful, or you can choose to be faithful to that original source material. Producers it's a multifaceted job. You know, I like to think that on a creative point of view you have a triangle. You have the producer, the writer and the director, and together the three of you are really the creative engine for the film. You have to macro-manage these different skills. You have to manage these different skills and create a platform where creative people can do their best work. Well, I think the main challenges for the cinematic industry, I think it's one of volume. There's just so many people telling so many stories, and the resources are limited, and the distribution channels is the sort of bottleneck. I mean, obviously with online content and streaming and the Netflixes and the Amazons, that's changing, but still there's only so many eyeballs, you know, to attract. I think festivals are really important. I mean, they serve two purposes. One is to, you know, see and experience new artistic forms, and the other is to just meet creative people and together make some art and some business. Coming to Fest, you meet new filmmakers. They have their own stories, and that inspires you. Not all of them, but once in a while you hear a story and you think, that's exciting, and you think, well, could I do something to help that happen? You know, and I think that's always it's always exciting. You know, it's like if you have an inquiring mind, you'll always hear stories that are interesting. I think that it's really important to find people you really want to work with and grow together. I think filmmaking can sometimes seem like a very individualistic pursuit, but actually it's a team effort. And if you can find people you like to work with and are like-minded, I think that's a really great way to go. I did 2 movies last year in 2017, and planning to do another one later this year. So yeah, I'm, you know, always. I think the Middle East is very interesting for storytelling because it's a new. The Middle East, they've always been storytellers, but cinema is new to them, and I think there's a lot of stories in that, you know, in that group that really are wanting to come out and tell the world. So it's exciting to me, especially I have to say, women filmmakers. You know, the difference between producing in the US or Europe or the Middle East or, you know, other countries, you know, I think storytelling. I think that to some extent in the US it's a little bit more, shall we say, audience driven. And in Europe and the Middle East it's very much sort of more artistic driven in industry. You know, the European or the US industry is more commerce based. Whereas the European and to some extent the Middle East it's more funded and subsidy, and you know, it's that big question: is it art or is it business? And I think those skew.